A new law adds restrictions for transgender athletes in Texas.
We are not trying to take away from anyone else. It is a matter of ensuring, the safety, privacy, and fairness for females.
It's the latest legislation aimed at LGBTQ Texans, and it has some looking to leave the state.
Part of me hates the fact that I'm leaving Texas, the home I've always known.
How political tides are fueling efforts to help some Texans find new homes. Governor Abbott holds several media events to highlight legislation he's signed into law, but he's also making news for what he's not signing.
I cannot believe the governor would use his veto pen to veto dozens and dozens of bills, maybe 100 bills or more.
How differences over tax relief are dividing the state's top leaders. We highlighted problems with toll bills in Texas, how our investigation helped lead to a new law that aims to tackle one of your top complaints with the system.
Produced from the Capitol in Austin and airing statewide, this is the award-winning State of Texas.
Hello and thank you for joining us. I'm Josh Hinkle. The state of Texas expanded restrictions on transgender college athletes. Governor Greg Abbott signed a law that requires college athletes to compete on teams that correspond with their sex assigned at birth. It's already the law for K through 12 schools in Texas. Capitol correspondent Monica Madden looks at the response to the new law.
I was an 11-time All-American, a 3-time national champion.
Austin mom Jerry Shanteau has the medals to remember her award-winning college career.
What made sport fun for me was that I got to win.
But she says the playing field has changed since her swimming glory days.
Socially, the trans issue and being a transgender person has absolutely nothing to do with sport.
Pointing to openly transgender athletes like Leah Thomas, whose victory sparked a national debate over which teams trans athletes should be able to compete in.
They have a biological advantage. Once a boy has gone through male puberty, they are at an advantage over females.
It's why Governor Abbott signed a bill Thursday that he says will protect women's sports at the collegiate level.
This bill is clearly discriminatory. There isn't enough evidence. They're creating a problem that doesn't exist.
LGBTQ advocates say, if anything, the law further harms their community.
That has had and continues to have a huge impact on the way trans kids and trans people see themselves because of the way that the government treats them.
There are no reports from Texas NCAA universities of transgender athletes competing in collegiate sports.
Monica Madden, State of Texas.
A majority of Texas voters appear to support policies like the one signed by Governor Abbott. The Texas Politics Project at the University of Texas polled voters on the issue back in April. 68% said they support requiring athletic participation in Texas schools and colleges to be based on biological sex. Support is almost unanimous among Republican voters. According to the poll, 90% of Republicans support the policy, with just 7% in opposition. But it's a much tighter divide among Democrats. 45% support only allowing student athletes to participate in sports based on their biological sex. 41% oppose those restrictions. We're seeing a similar political divide on the national level. In April, Congress voted to ban transgender athletes whose biological sex at birth was male from competing on girls' or women's sports teams. No Democrats supported the House bill, but all Republicans voted yes, including North Texas Congresswoman Beth Van Deen.
Biological women and girls should only be competing against other biological women and girls. And I don't care how many surgeries you have, I don't care how many chemicals you put into your body, you're not going to be a biological woman.
Again, the bill passed the House, but it's not likely to advance further. It does not appear to have enough support in the Democratic-led Senate. Also, a White House spokesperson said President Joe Biden would veto the legislation. You heard Monica mention that there are no reports of transgender athletes competing in collegiate sports in Texas. When the Texas bill had a public hearing back in March, opponents questioned the motives behind the legislation.
Trans athletes are a non-issue, and if this committee prioritizes this bill over the real massive issues facing collegiate athletes, you do not care about protecting women's sports. You care about hurting trans people as part of a disgusting ideological agenda. Thank you.
This was one of several bills affecting LGBTQ Texans. According to the American Civil Liberties Union, Texas lawmakers introduced at least 53 bills aimed at LGBTQ people this session. That's the most of any state. The restrictions proposed and enacted helped some pick up the pace on their efforts to leave the state. Will DuPree checked in on a service that's now helped dozens move.
The end of this month can't come soon enough for Paul Lewis.
Part of me hates the fact that I'm leaving Texas, the home I've always known.
This lifelong Texan will get to hand over the keys to his home in a Dallas suburb and start the long drive north to Michigan. He'll join other LGBTQ+ Texans who left earlier this year. Grayson Rodriguez moved from Austin to New Zealand.
I feel just so much better, happier, safer. I didn't realize how uncomfortable I felt in Texas until I got here.
We'll be able to take a breath. And
Lewis sold his house through a real estate service called Flee Red States that broker Bob McCraney launched last summer.
We're calling it kind of the Rainbow Underground Railroad. We're trying to get people out quietly and get them to someplace where they feel safer.
The service has now helped at least 27 mostly LGBTQ+ Texans sell their homes. Many say their decisions are driven by laws that narrowly focus on them, like the one signed here Thursday by Governor Greg Abbott. It will ban transgender women from playing on female sports teams at the collegiate level. He says the state remains a welcoming place for everyone.
Texas, over the past decade, has been the leading state in the United States of America that people choose to move to for our policies, and we will continue to advance policies that protect children, that protect women in sports, but protect all Texans and their freedoms.
However, Paul Lewis would like state leaders to see how their efforts are making Texans like him look for an exit.
I don't know if they lose sleep over it at night, but I kind of hope that they do, because I hope they realize exactly how much they're hurting people.
Will joins us now. The person you interviewed for this story is a lifelong Texan who's moving to Michigan. Why there?
He says he has family there, so that's one really good thing that he likes. There's another that he's vacationed there, so he spent some time and enjoys the environment. But he also looked at some of the policy decisions that state has made. Michigan's Democratic governor, for instance, signed a law back in March that expanded the state's anti-discrimination policies to include sexual orientation and gender identity, as well as gender expression. We should point out that here in Texas, those are not protected classes when it comes to anti-discrimination efforts.
This session also saw the largest number of openly gay lawmakers in Texas history. Are those members having any influence at the Capitol from what you've seen?
A number of openly LGBTQ lawmakers here in Texas have pretty big profiles at the state Capitol. We want to point out Representative Ann Johnson from the Houston area. She is going to serve as the vice chair of the House impeachment managers when the impeachment trial against Attorney General Ken Paxton begins. Representative Mary Gonzalez, she is on the Appropriations Committee in the House, which is of course in charge of deciding where the state sends its money in the budget. And finally, Representative Benton Jones in Dallas, he shepherded through a bill this session that cleared a key committee that would remove the criminal penalty for homosexual conduct. That has been unconstitutional for a number of years because of the Lawrence v. Texas Supreme Court decision. Of course, we're talking about it clearing the committee. It did not get a full vote in the House, but a number of key Republicans joined onto that effort, so perhaps that will pass when the next session rolls around in 2 years.
Certainly some things to watch. Thank you very much,
Definitely.
Will. Bills passed by lawmakers facing the veto pen amid a dispute between the governor and lieutenant governor.
All of these bills that have yet to be signed face the possibility, if not the probability, that they're going to be vetoed.
How differences over tax relief are dividing the state's top leaders. Dangerous cars, trucks, and SUVs on the road sporting fraudulent paper tags. Soon, no more. The new bill to outlaw these risky rides. A major move to boost medical safety. How a new law protects patients from dangerous doctors.